welcome back to the Dice Tray Jacuzzi. My name is Tom. You might know me as the Adventure Sage.
My name's Mitch, and I'm the dual wielder.
And together we are the Fable Brothers.
Fable Brothers!
Here to talk to you about anything and everything D&D. This is episode 3 of the Dice Tray Jacuzzi, so if you're just tuning in, we got 2 more episodes that you can go to after you've listened to this one. We have no sponsor today, so we can just jump right into things. Mitch, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Tom. I'm doing good. I just realized I don't have purple on.
Oh my God!
Gotta turn purple on. Or the blue one. This one. It's supposed to be blue, right? That's what we did in the first episode.
Oh, shit. I'm the one who's wrong. I had purple on. It was left from purple from the stream. There we go. Sorry. Oh, wait. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. There we go. That's what it is. It's my B. I was making you look stupid when, in fact, I was the stupid one. But anyways.
I'm blinded!
Don't stare into the sun.
That fucking hurt.
Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you shouldn't do that. All right, let's get into it. Mitch, you've played some D&D recently, haven't you?
I have. I finally played D&D.
Holy shit. The guy that hosts a D&D podcast finally has played D&D.
Mission accomplished. I finished my 1 session for the year. Now I can keep saying I'm a DM.
It's like renewing your license. You just got to do it once.
Got just once, every once in a while. No, I probably had the biggest fuck it we ball session I've ever ran. Ever.
Care to explain?
So my uncle's birthday, surprise birthday. Him and my dad, or our dad, they played D&D when they were younger with all of their friends. So we had a surprise trip where we all went to a different uncle's house, surprised them there, and I ran a whole day session for them to play again because they haven't played since like 3.5.
Dang. We play online with him every now and then.
Yeah, but like an actual in-person game with the boys back together.
Yeah, the original group. That's awesome. That's fun. How'd it go?
I got hammered. It went pretty well. Listen, these aren't your average role players. They're gamers. They just want to fight. Yeah, they want to kill shit. They want to solve puzzles. They want to find treasure. I was rolling on the treasure table the whole session for all of the big monsters. That's what I was doing. Fuck it. Give them shit. It's a one shot. Most of the puzzles I made up on the spot. Most of the traps I made up on the spot. Not to toot my own horn, I built a bunch of encounters in D&D Beyond, and I was like, all right, we're going to figure out where all these slot in. Except for the final boss fight, of course.
I mean, there's something very, very freeing about that method. It's one of those things, especially in the setting that you were in, where like the narrative doesn't matter too much. That is a very light backdrop to the purpose of the session. It's nice being able to just, all right, I'm just going to get these pieces. I'm going to build these individual pieces and we'll just make it as we go. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
You can definitely get kind of, when you're trying to plan out the session too much, and I have definitely fallen victim to this, and I still do every now and then, of, oh shit, I gave my players too much agency on where to go, and I have no idea what they're going to do next session, so now I have to have a situation for everything planned. What if they go here? Okay, well, I need to make a combat map for here. And what if they go here? Okay, well, then I need to make an encounter for here, and I need to have all these NPCs ready. It's just, no, it's okay. Just fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball. And fuck it, I balled. I was at the free throw line and fucking dunked that shit. Oof. They had a great time. Everyone loved it. One of the dudes, he's like, oh yeah, I play D&D 4 times a week online, every week. The dude straight up told me, that's the best D&D I've played all year. I was like, dude, I didn't try. I was like, I didn't try that hard. You must be playing some bad games.
I mean, and that's the reality of it. It's, there's this whole, it's a saying, there's no wrong way to play the game. As long as everyone at your table's having fun, there's no wrong way to play the game. Sure, that is correct. But objectively speaking, there's a lot of shit D&D going on.
You could play that. You're not playing it wrong, but you're playing it bad.
Yeah, that's a good way to. Yeah, you're not playing it wrong, but you're playing it bad. We talked about this on the Sage's Nook in one of the episodes, but like we as DMs, We have a very specific style, and we have a very specific want from the game. We show up to play good D&D. If D&D is just an excuse for you to see your friends, that's fine. But we don't operate like that. If I just needed an excuse to see my friends, I'd invite my friends over and we'd hang out and play games and whatever.
Exactly. I'd rather play like a board game. I'd rather play like Enter the Dark Sector, Catan or something.
Yeah.
You just want to drink beers and fucking just hang out and not really think about anything.
Exactly. And if I'm playing D&D, I want to fucking show up and I want to lock in and I want to tell cool stories and make gripping characters and have awesome combat encounters and just encounters in general, not even combat. I want to show up and I want to make a cool story with my friends. That's how we play D&D. So
but no, that was a fucking like I think 10-hour long session.
Damn.
Yeah, we started at 10, we ended I think at like 9:30. So actually no, so like 11 and a half hours. And we took an hour and a half break for lunch. It was a good session. You got to be honest. Very light role play, not a ton of story stuff. So it was actually pretty easy for me. It really allowed the fuck we ball method to kind of shine. You know, I brought all my terrain and my models and shit. So I had everything kind of pre-prepared already. But it was good. It was good. I had a whole little, the narrative was like, there's a temple that was discovered by like an explorers guild nearby, like a working town, like a lumber mill town. The temple opening up caused some mischief. The guild that's there, they're all gnomes. The Small Finders Guild. That was a funny reveal to the party because they just knew the name of the guild was the Small Finders Guild. Come to know, they're all small. They're all little gnomish people. And every time they'd walk in the tent or they'd go to talk to somebody or they thank them to be like, hail. They'd all do that. All the gnomes.
Hi there.
Yeah, like the WoW gnomes. Of course, also my dad was playing a gnome, so he was stoked. He was like, oh, let me talk to these guys. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, when you don't, I got to be honest though, when you don't have to do all the role play and you don't have to go super serious and you're just playing a casual game, like I'm still try-harding like all the encounters and the descriptions and trying to make it fun for them. But like, it's so easy. Like I'm literally just walking through it. Like I was just like, yeah, this is what happens. Like they were going to go somewhere else. So I just came up with this whole scenario on the top of my head where one of the ogres and some of the orcs that were like the bad guys of the session, they ripped a window off a house and stole some people and were running out of the city. And then it caused them to go to the direction that I wanted them to go because they were going to go to the wrong spot. So I was just like, I just threw this in there and they're like, oh, let's go this way.
That's a good point of something we can talk about really quick. So I also play D&D, so I want to talk about what Mitch just said, redirecting your players. I want to talk about my session of D&D, and then after that, for the rest of the episode, Mitch and I are going to try to do something that is very uncharacteristic for both of us. We're going to try and focus, and we're going to try and talk about one thing without going on tangents. It's probably not going to happen, but
Tom, I don't know about that one.
We're going to try our best. We have a topic we want to really dive into today. But first, so yes, redirecting your players. This is something that I feel like a lot of GMs, especially newer GMs, they get very scared of. Well, what if my party goes the way I didn't plan? If you just use basic logic and a tiny little dash of creativity, it is so easy to get your players back on track. Because I also had a scenario in my session that I ran this week where my players were about to go a direction, not necessarily that they couldn't go, but that I really didn't want them to go. So my session, it was the ending of a big, it was the tail end of a big like city siege, essentially. Like there were a bunch of like goblins and beastmen and bugbears marauding through the city, and the party was trying to turn the tides in their favor. They completed that. The marauders left, and they saved the city. And then they had a big kind of the second half of the session was just basically all role play. I had no more encounters prepared, and I was stressing out a little bit. This is kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with Mitch's session. I was kind of stressing out about like, what am I going to do? I kind of did a fuck it, we ball approach to the second half of my session. I had the first encounter, the first half, completely meticulously planned out. They're going to go here and this NPC is going to lead them there. They're going to find these guys and then we're going to have that encounter. And here's the battle strategy that I have. They wiped the boss. It's fine. I'm not salty about it. I spent 10 hours.
Oh, he's salty.
I spent 10 hours painting him and I planned for him to get away and be like this reoccurring boss. And yeah, they fucking destroyed him.
That's your first mistake, dude. You gave him no escape options.
That's it. The thing is, I had planned this encounter to be not necessarily where like he would make a dashing escape and do something crazy, but I made him powerful enough to where if he got a good hit on someone, he would put them down. So I didn't make the encounter with the plan of he would escape. I made the encounter with the plan of he would put a couple party members down and essentially they would let him go out of fear for their lives. That did not happen. They destroyed him. They ensnaring striked him. And even though he had advantage, he still rolled poorly and got caught. So it just ate a turn and they just started wailing into him. But that's beside the point. The second half of the session, I only had a few little beats that I knew I wanted to go to tackle. There was a figure that they are very uncertain about, a figure that's kind of scary, this kind of alchemist person that they don't really understand yet. I didn't really know what to do besides introducing this figure to them. So I just kind of went with it. I just kind of went off my players. After the dust had settled from the party, they just inevitably start going, okay, well, what's next? And if you as the DM don't immediately tell them, well, you can go here, or you should do this, or you can do this, or this guy approaches you, you just say, what is next? You know the town. You've been here for the last 3 sessions. You know what the next step is. You got to go to the big city at some point. What are you going to do? And then they just kind of go on their way and they do their thing, and they went back to the inn and they had this whole planning session of how they wanted to make it to the giant city of Iskath. So they kind of told me what they wanted to do rather than me giving them options. And I think that it's very easy to fall into this trap of, I don't know what they're going to do and I'm not prepared enough. You don't have to be prepared. You just have to be confident that you can make the decision that needs to be made in the moment. When the party decided what they wanted to do, I went, okay, cool. Let's roll with that. Or they had this whole tangent where they went on this little adventure when they went down a well so they could try and hear a conversation that was going on in the basement of a house. And that ate up like a half hour of time. And yes, it was completely meaningless. They failed horribly in the grand scheme of things and they didn't really gain any information. But like, when you just kind of give the session room to breathe, it allows fun things like that to happen. If it's just constantly, all right, we got to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. No, just allow the situation to breathe. I had the mayor of the town and that alchemist figure I was talking about with the party, and there was a lot of dialogue. There was a lot of insight checks and tenseness, and we sat there for like 45 minutes and let this scene play out that probably happened over 5 minutes of time in game. So it's just one of those cool things where if you're not constantly throwing things in front of your players, then that will inevitably make them eat the scenery up that's already in front of them without having to look somewhere else. But to bring this back on what my main point was, redirecting your players. The next organic arc of this campaign is they have to travel. They have to have a very long travel, couple travel sessions to get to a big city, the dwarven metropolis of Iskath. And they're going to this massive city, but they are hundreds of miles away from it. And essentially there were 2 options that I had laid out for them as like the mayor of the town. I was role-playing him. It's like, you can either take the road, which is about a 10-day journey, or you can cut straight across and go through the wilderness. Some of that travel is going to be through mountains. That is a much more dangerous path. But it will save you about 4 days of travel. Now, the thing is I really wanted him to go on the dangerous path, as any good DM would. But the logic in the players, they were kind of like, well, we should probably just take the road because we don't want to die.
Might as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I would do the same thing. You're running a brutal campaign, so let's not die.
Yeah, and there were a couple players where they're like, Tom's baiting us. He's baiting us into the dangerous path. Of course, like even one of my players was like, I want to go to the dangerous path. I want to above table, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to. So I was like, fuck yeah, they're right. That it's completely logical for them to just want to take the safe route. So they decided, all right, we're gonna take the safe route. We're gonna see, because there was a dwarven caravan that was leaving. They're like, we're gonna see if we can kind of get passage on the dwarven caravan. Travel in numbers. I was like, okay, all right, let's see what I can do here. I need to reroute them. On the dangerous path. What do I need to do? I just thought logically, even just in the context of the session, they wanted to go to Iskath. They hate the alchemist person. All right, they go to the dwarven caravan the next morning. They go, hey, can we hitch a ride with you? They go, yep. You can be on the caravan with Aether, the alchemist. They go, oh, he's going with you guys? They're like, yeah, he's on board. We're all traveling together. And they went, never mind. We're taking the dangerous path. Easy as that. Just give them just give them one little reason to change course, and they will. Especially if above table they want to do something that is maybe a little bit reckless, for lack of a better term. So that was my session. I'm very excited. I have a few sessions of travel planned out. One of them, Mitch is going to be here for. Mitch is visiting at the end of October, and we're planning out his character right now. It's going to be super fun. Very excited. I love, we have a whole episode on this in our previous podcast, but I love travel sessions. I love the grittiness of them, and I'm really going to try and step it up, because my party and I have been playing together for years now. So whenever we do travel sessions, it's usually been kind of run of the mill, just, random encounters, things like that. Can you survive? But with this new gritty rule set that I'm running, I really want to kind of make it more dire, make it a little more intense, and give them some different encounters that aren't just a monster happens upon you and now it's time to fight it and you'll move on after that. So I can't get too much, I can't get too in depth because Mitch is going to be a player in there for a session. So I can't go too deep into it right now.
I already know what's going on. It's all right.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, pal.
I already know everything. But yeah, one thing I did realize running this session, because this was my first long session in a while, especially with the new 2025 kind of character rules. They were all level 4. It was 6 players. 1, 2, 3. No, it was 6 players. They were all level 4. They're kind of buff. Player characters are kind of strong, and they're power builders and they're fighters. They're good at making very well-rounded characters. Most of the time you see these builds where it's like, oh, I'm going to build everything into damage and just annihilate stuff, but then all my saves suck. Or I'm going to do this one gimmick that's really strong, and then the rest of my character's bad. So one good thing about the 3.5 guys is because they're so used to playing that high level customization characters, their characters are very well rounded. It's not like they can do tons of damage. It's just like, oh yeah, I do good damage, and then I'm consistently good with all my stuff. Yeah, which was kind of refreshing, to be honest. Like, so many people just shoehorn their character into one thing, but that's besides the point. They're strong. The player characters are strong now. I threw, they had 4 fights in a day, and then another 3 fights the next day, including the final battle. The first day, I had them fight the green slot and the blue slot at the same time. The blue slot is CR, I think 5, or I think it's CR 6, and the green slot I think is CR 8 or 7.
Yeah.
And it threw the fireball at them immediately. The slots got a surprise round. It rolled really bad, so it still got low initiative because surprise works differently now. Mm-hmm. But they handled it pretty well. Some of them got low, but they crushed it. They kept tripping the blue slot, beating them on the ground. Topple, the bane of my existence in this new edition. Everyone hates it.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I have a player character who's built, his entire build is built around toppling.
It's so frustrating. The topple is frustrating, but that's when I was kind of I was a little nervous to kind of throw both the creatures at him. I had the green slot disguised because they have the shapeshift ability, just as a dude standing in the middle of a mud puddle, and they happen upon this weird grotto, and they're like, whoa. why is this guy just standing out in the woods? At first, they thought it was one of the people that were kidnapped by the orcs. So they were like, oh, he must be an escapee. And they went up to talk to him, and I just role played him that, like, when they walked up and he noticed them, he was just like, he just wouldn't answer them, wouldn't respond. Yeah, he was just like a blank stare. And they're like, okay, this is weird. And one of the players stayed back and hid in the bushes. And I said, okay, I had him roll perception check, and he saw the other slot sneaking up behind in the muck. And then I had him roll a dexterity off to see if he could get them, if he could shout in time, like, oh, there's something there, before it attacked. I had the green slot just kind of disappear and turn invisible because they have the invisibility spell. And I wasn't necessarily going to have it come back unless they were like destroying the other slot. And they started pummeling him. So I was like, okay, green slot's coming back. They don't know necessarily it was a green slot. They just thought it was an illusion. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I can use that just in case. And yeah, they handled those guys pretty well. Like, that surprised me a lot.
Yeah, power creep's definitely a thing. I like it. I like that player characters are more powerful here. Low level combat definitely doesn't feel as deadly, and I think in a good way when I say that. Because again, I'm running a low level campaign. My players were level 2 for the first arc of their campaign, and yeah, there's a couple times where they were getting close to going down, but no one has fallen unconscious yet in my campaign, and I've been giving them tough encounters as far as like the CR calculator is concerned. So yeah, they're powerful.
Well, we know how the CR calculator works.
Look, it works. It works pretty well at low levels. It really depends. There's a lot of circumstances that the calculator can't account for. You know, are they fully rested and all that stuff?
Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
Yeah, it was cool.
Let's move on. Let's move on to what I really want to talk about this session.
Oh, and this is something I didn't do at all for this one shot.
The one shots are different. One shot is happy, fun playtime, but this is
happy, fun playtime. Whee!
One shot is fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball.
Something that's really been on my mind for the past few days. I'll give you some context here. I'm gonna get serious for a second.
Let's get serious.
I have 2 players in my party that are currently in a situation where they might be moving soon, and not like moving across town, like moving out of state. So
party foul.
I know.
Campaign's over.
It's the worst. It's the worst. So I'm in this scenario because again, we've just started this campaign. We're on session 7. We're gonna have session 7 on Thursday. And everyone's very invested. I am very meticulous about planning the campaign and everything like that. And now 2 out of the 5 members of the party might have to leave. So I get in this. I've been in this kind of planning nightmare where I'm okay. Well, if they do end up leaving, I'm not going to end the campaign. We'll just have to find new players, or maybe I will end the campaign, or maybe I'll take a pause and we'll figure it out. But like, what do I do for the rest of it? Do I treat it as nothing's happening, or do I treat it as these characters are probably going to leave? Because I truly don't know if they're going to leave yet, and they don't either. I found myself kind of like getting like what's the word? Like getting down on myself in my head, where I was like, why did I plan the campaign so much around their characters? And like that thought sunk into my head, and I was getting angry at myself. And I was like, wait a fucking second. Why wouldn't I plan the campaign around their characters? And that's what I want to talk about today. Planning the campaign around your characters. We are both advocates for this, obviously. I don't want to speak for you, Mitch.
Work in their backstory. That's what he's saying.
Yes, work in their backstory. And even I would go I would even go further to say, if you're not running a module, why the hell would you not plan your campaign around your characters? There is no reason not to. And even in this scenario, because you're going to say, well, Tom, what if they move? What if they move? Gotcha. Yeah, I know. But there is literally no reason not to. Even if these 2 players move, their characters are so well thought out and well developed and have such an integral part into the story, even if they leave, that will still cause branch narratives outward. The party has already been together. So, well, what if someone moves in the future? So, people move all the time in real life. You don't just forget about them. Like, it's one of those things where the history that you have with that character, even if they are gone and out of the narrative now, will still inform things that are happening. It will still leave ripples in the water of things that will come because of past decisions that were made before they left. And it'll still give your character more depth by interacting with them, even if they are now gone. And I think it's one of these things where when we talk about, like, you know, don't overplan your campaigns. I've even gone on record saying, don't overplan your campaigns. That is not an excuse to not plan your campaigns around your characters. So I'm going to talk in a specifically homebrew setting here. When you are building your own campaigns, whether it's in the Forgotten Realms, whether it's in your own homebrew setting, whether it's anywhere, there is no excuse to not build the campaign around the party. And you should 100% not start planning your campaign genuinely until your players have made their characters. There are a lot of instances where you go, oh, well, I have this campaign idea, and this guy's the bad guy, and he's going to do this to the party, and the party's going to react like this. Wrong. You just said the party's going to do something. You don't get to decide what they're going to do. You have no idea what they're going to do. So if you wait until their characters are created and they start fleshing out their backstories, and then you can say, oh, well, that's a juicy bit from that guy's backstory, and oh, she has something that I could really turn into a cool situation. You need to plan around your players, because that's how you get them more invested. Something that I ran into in my previous campaign, which honestly is to no fault of my own, because I planned the campaign around my players, and then unfortunately, the player who I had modeled the BBEG after in their backstory, they moved away. So, and this was like 20 sessions into the campaign at this point. So, like, we were deep and I couldn't really pivot. But yeah, that I had taken this character, this entity, this eldritch kind of entity from my player character's backstory. And I was like, they're going to be the main villain of the campaign, and everything in various little ways is going to lead up to this climactic battle. And at the end of the campaign, at least for me, it felt like there was only personal stakes from the players because this is what they felt they were supposed to do, not because they genuinely, it's one of those things of, well, we did all this stuff already and this guy's going to come back and rule the seas. No, we're going to kill him. But it wasn't like that gripping, like, we have to do this, like, this is my purpose type thing. They didn't have that, or at least I didn't feel they had that.
Sure. Yeah. I'd say when you're starting off your campaign, like Tom said, you want to base a lot of it off of what the players are going to be making / their backstory, because they're going to give you juicy information. But I would flesh out some things about your setting specifically. You need a good setting that they can kind of build a character off of, and maybe like a paragraph or a page of information on what's going on, because then they can kind of build off of that too. And I'm going to completely counterpoint Tom here for like the BBEG, base it around your players. I'd say think of something you think is cool as a DM. Throw that in there. Don't let them know about it. Then you read the character backstories and try to figure out how you can make the things you've made prior to the campaign starting, see how you can weave that into their backstories. Or, oh, this person said someone destroyed their house and killed their family when they were young. All right, that's one of the bad guys I thought of. He's going to actually take the place of that with his goblin horde or whatever. Do the stuff you want to do as a DM, but focus on the character shit and work it in through the things you've already made, but then also base a lot of your stuff off of that, because you need a small foundation at the start that everyone can work off of. Yeah,
it's one of those things where obviously you want to give them a setting, you want to give them I always, before the campaign even starts, or before we even start preparing for the campaign, I go, what kind of campaign are you guys looking for? These are some ideas I'm throwing around. Like, before I started this campaign that I'm currently running, that I recently started, I was like, what environment are we looking for? They all know my homebrew world very well at this point. So I was like, we can start here and have a more of kind of like a tropical vibe. We can do another seafaring thing in this area. If we want just like regular, temperate forests, high, regular kind of regular fantasy starting zone type environments. We can go into the middle of the map, or do you want an Arctic vibe? And we can go up here in this continent. And they're like, yeah, we think Arctic. I was like, perfect. Then that's what that is the foundation of the campaign that I'm going to make. And then I started planning, and I was like, okay, well, these figures are going to be cool. And to my own detriment, yeah, I did start I would look at models, because I do a lot of 3D printing. So I would look at minis. I'd be like, that STL's cool. I'm going to make them a villain. This STL's cool. I'm going to make them a villain. This faction, ooh, I like this faction's aesthetic. They're definitely going to play a part in this campaign. But I wasn't writing their lore. I was just kind of going, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Let's see how my players build their characters and see where I can fit these pieces in.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remake all your stuff and then see how you can work your player character stuff into it. And they can kind of, obviously you don't want to pre-make everything, but first and foremost, you're the creative. If you just base everything completely solely off their backstories, there's not going to be much to discover or explore besides finding out stuff about other people. You know what I mean? It still has to be a game. You still want to tell a cool story. You still want to run Dungeons and Dragons. And you want to make it fun for them with things that they practically don't know about.
Yeah.
So you want villains and stuff that aren't connected to anybody. You want things that aren't connected to some of your players. But as a DM, that's how you keep them invested. That's how you get the payoffs. And that's how you get the excitement at the table where everyone's like, oh, we killed the guy who killed his dad. Woo!
Yeah. And it's also, you don't, like Mitch just said, you don't have to only do villains that are in your character's backstories. But if you're going to do a villain that has no previous connection with any PCs, any player characters, you have to introduce them in a way that makes the players care about them. Not care about them in a way where they care about them and they want them to live, but you need to do it in a way that makes your characters feel emotion towards this character, whether it is good or bad. If you want to do a twist and you want to make the characters all love this guy, and then he's actually the villain, or if you
classic,
or if you introduce them early on and everyone hates him, and then they just keep being this recurring thing that happens in the campaign. There you go. You need to establish it. You can't just be at the end where, all right, you've all figured out your backstories. Insert maniacal guy right here. He's the bad guy now, and all you guys want to kill him. Why? I don't know who this fucking guy is. Why would I want to kill him? Oh, he's evil? Sure. I guess, okay. I guess we'll kill him then if he's evil. It's there's no gripping personal attachment.
There's no tension, there's no desperation, there's no need, there's no want.
Yeah, in the campaign I ran with Mitch, the long form one in Florida, I had a huge pivot about 3/4 into the campaign, because I had the main villain of the campaign originally be a very important NPC from a player's backstory that had turned to the dark side and had this whole descent into evil. And when we got to that encounter, they destroyed it. Absolutely smacked him silly. Didn't even break a sweat. And I was...
Nope. Chothar's too powerful.
It was one of those things where I had built this up to be an insane boss battle. And they walked in nothing. Just wiped the floor with this guy. And after that session, I felt like crying. I was like, that was horrible. I'm sure everyone still had fun, but it's that was supposed to be the epic ending. And they walked in and made this guy look like a fool. And I was like, that can't be it. I even said, because going into the campaign, I was like, this is probably the last or second to last session. And we all knew this to be the big boss fight. The day after that session happened, I was like, guys, I got more time. I got more time before I move out of Florida. We're going to keep this going. And we did. I threw in an extra arc on top of the campaign to try again to give them that epic fight. But what I did was I didn't just say like, and now this guy's here and he wants to kill you.
Dracula's here.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, now there's another bad guy and you don't know who he is yet, but we're going to learn about him and now you got to kill him. No, you can't do that. What I did was I looked back in the campaign to all the still open threads that the party didn't close. One of them was when they were in an abandoned dwarven stronghold full of undead that had been frozen over and taken over by an ice dragon. They went in there to kill the ice dragon, the white dragon. And they accidentally unleashed a lich in the process who was frozen.
Yeah, so side tangent, Tom did an awesome plot device with one of the other villains in the campaign. Giant villain in the campaign, really was there for a brief couple sessions, but there's a lot of buildup because he was directly connected to my character, Zuvo, the white dragon. He was guarding my character's sword that he needed from his deity because I was playing a paladin. It was in the dragon's hoard that we had to go to. And I already had history with this dragon because he almost killed me and I was rescued. But what happened was we killed that dragon in that fort. And then because we killed that dragon, all of the ice and snow in the surrounding area started to dissipate because its lair was now no longer its lair. So then all of the undead that were in that dwarven stronghold started thawing out. And then it started like a mini zombie like apocalypse in this area or region of the map. So yeah, that was fucking awesome.
It was like an extra dungeon. It was like, cool, you just killed the boss and you've created your own dungeon now because now you have to get out and all these undead are being unleashed. So there was a lot of like them like sneaking through the hallways and they would see like a zombie on a bridge and one of them would like blast it off the bridge and then they'd fucking run across the bridge. And, but yeah, at the entrance, there was like this lich and you know, he had been frozen in ice for hundreds and hundreds of years. So like his skin was like sloughing off now that it was melting. He was very like, I'm pretty sure flavor he was a lich, but I'm pretty sure I ran a demi-lich stat block because or something even worse than that. I think it was Deathlock maybe? I don't know. But
no, demi-lich is more powerful, I think.
Then it was probably a Deathlock. I made him very low power. I made him very low power just to like signify like this, you let out this guy. And I was going to leave it at that and just kind of be like, that's a cool thing for another time that I just wanted to throw in there. And maybe one day when I'm bored, I'll fucking revisit that plot line. Like that's a bad guy for another campaign. But once they fucking smacked the real villain, the first villain of the campaign, I was like, actually, no, I'm going to whip that guy out now. I was saving him for a rainy day, but the rainy day has come. He's going to come back. And we had this whole additional arc of 8 sessions where they went back to the high mountains and they had this whole thing with the Goliath tribe, Chothar's family. And yeah, it made it cool. And that encounter was so much more intense and so much more climactic. Probably because I was running the actual lich stat block and not just some weird homebrew shit that I made as a final villain. I was a much younger DM at that point, and I hadn't had as much homebrew experience as I do now. So I homebrewed the first villain, and he was got absolutely demolished. So then I ran just the classic lich stat block, threw a Death Knight in there. Oh, that's when the Death Knight, the lich and the Death Knight on a Draco Lich blew up they're in a library doing studies. I can't remember what you were researching.
We were researching the Lich, and then he attacked the dwarven city we were in with his Draco Lich, burst through the ceiling. So him, the Death Knight, and the dragon were in this library just fucking killing everybody while we're fighting them. We're like, oh fuck. I also had just gotten a belt of Frost Giant Strength, which was pretty sick. So I was like, oh, let's test this baby out.
Yeah, that was a cool encounter. But it was one of those things where it's okay to it's okay to admit to your party that you were wrong. Like I'm sure they could all feel it. That was not the way I intended that to go. You don't have to keep your pride in a situation like that where you royally fuck up, and especially when everyone understands you fucked up. Like, it's worth just saying, like, guys, I thought that was going to be cooler.
Dude, yeah, if you have just talk to your players, man. Just talk to your players. You could totally be like, hey guys, like, that was not as epic and climactic as I meant it to be. Like, we're going to keep going. And I'm sure they'll be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And Tom worked it in a way where it still made sense, and it didn't. Our separation of character and player wasn't there. We were still in character because it was something that made sense with the story. And to be honest, this Lich probably was a bigger threat, you know? So it made sense.
He definitely was. He definitely was a bigger threat, and the thing is,
to us, it just felt like, oh yeah, we finished your backstory, druid, because it was the druid's like long lost lover who turned evil or something.
Yeah.
And he was like a super warlock. But because that was the end boss fight, but we crushed it, and Tom worked in something else that we already knew about that was way worse, and we knew it was probably worse. It didn't feel bad at all as a player. It felt great. It was cool. And it kind of felt like, oh, we wrapped up all the player backstories. Let's go handle the real threat that we knew about from earlier.
Yeah, it felt, honestly, I think that's one of my favorite arcs from the campaign. It felt intense.
Oh, dude, it felt intense. And it's one of our favorite arcs because we're like level 20.
Yeah.
We just got to level 20. We're super powered. I remember when we got to your end bosses. Sorry, we're going on a tangent. I'm going on a tangent.
Yeah, we
can't help it.
Couldn't resist.
Couldn't resist. I remember jumping out of Kotar. Tom put a giant dire troll in front of us or something with some spellcaster. One of my favorite moments in the campaign is because, you know, I'm a Goliath and I can enlarge myself with the Rune Knight fighter. I jumped out of our flying magical fortress or whatever. Fucking jumped out. Everyone else was fighting down there. I just stayed up there to be cool for a second. I just was like looking over the battlefield. I jumped out. One swing just cleaved the troll in half, the giant troll, and he just exploded. And I was like, I did a superhero landing. And I was like, let's go in the fucking cave. And then we walked in. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool arc, and the whole point here is just if you're gonna add a BBEG that doesn't have the connection to player characters' backstories, you have to make that connection in the campaign, and that takes time, and it takes planning, and it takes effort. You can't just throw someone in and be like, they're evil. Hey, this guy, there you go. First time you saw him, he's evil. Don't you want to kill him? No, nobody cares. You have to make the players care.
And you can do that occasionally for like minor bosses. If they're walking in the woods and they see some monster, yeah, it's evil. We got to fight it. But like, you can't make that type of villain one of the main villains of your campaign, or like the featuring thing of like a session or a mini arc. It's like, oh my God, there's this evil villain and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, we need to go handle these demons that are trying to hunt this guy's family. So fuck that other villain. Like, they're just going to ignore it. Like, who cares?
Yeah. So there's something I want to piggyback off of what we just talked about. And that is, I was watching a video about like the best villains in cinema are morally gray. You have Thanos, you have the Joker. Well, I wouldn't say the Joker's really morally gray, but like,
yeah, he's pretty fucking evil.
Well, it's one of those things of like maybe morally gray is not the maybe not the point. It is we are currently in this era of villains where like you see their point and you kind of see their side, and maybe they're evil, but the thing that they're trying to convey, it makes everyone go, you know, he's got a point. He has an actual point there. That doesn't really translate to D&D very well, because your players want to be heroes and they want to kill the bad guy.
Yeah.
So don't make your villains morally gray, or at least don't make your big bad evil guy. It's called the BBEG, the big bad evil guy.
Evil! Evil villains is lemons.
Yes, exactly. It's lemon scented. We don't want to make our big bad evil guy someone where, and look, no shade, but you saw this in Critical Role Campaign 3. There was a lot of times throughout the campaign where they go, do we even want to stop Predathos? He's going to kill the gods, and we don't really, some people don't like the gods. It's like, yeah, you gotta make a villain that your players should unequivocally want to stop. Even if it's not kill, they unequivocally want to stop them from doing what they're doing. So I think the correct way to do this is don't make your villains morally gray. Make the situations that your villains put your players in morally gray. When your villain is evil, unequivocally evil, and the way to stop them is morally gray, that will only fuel the fire under your players to want to stop them even harder. If, you could go and you could kill me right here, but if you waste any more time trying to kill me, then the city's going to burn. And they're just going to be like, fuck! They're going to hate him so much more. So your villain should not be someone that the party can agree with, or they should not be morally gray. Your villain should be the villain. It is the clear enemy that your party needs to stop. But put your party in situations that makes them have hard decisions. Give your party hard decisions with your unequivocally evil villain. Your players should 100% wholeheartedly want to stop the villain. If you ever have a situation where the party is arguing amongst themselves whether or not they need to stop the BBEG, you've done something wrong. Rethink, pivot. If your party, it's one of those things where it's easy to get caught in like the logic of like the DM logic. Oh, they're going to want to kill this guy. Okay, from your standpoint, they will, but you just need to make sure you do a good job of conveying that they need to be stopped. And that is the only option, is to stop them.
Yeah, and they can be a morally gray villain. Like, they can be, like, you could relate to them, but, like, you have to make what they're doing just evil. Like, it has to be a bad. Like, you can't, like, you could be understanding of why they're doing what they're doing. Does that make sense? But you still have to make what they're doing innately evil so that the players have to stop them. Because, with Thanos, it's like Tom was saying, he's a morally gray character, but, like, nobody's thinking to themselves, well, maybe we don't stop Thanos.
I'll take you even one step,
because he's gonna kill half of all the people.
Yeah, I'll take you even one step further with Loki. You understand why Loki is the way he is in the first Avengers. He was the runt brother. He was never treated with any respect. He lived a lifetime of being number two. And Thanos comes around and says, you can have this city. You can have this world. And you have a lot of sympathy for Loki, and you know him very well. It's why he's a fan favorite in the entire MCU, because he's a very fleshed out, thought out character that a lot of people can relate to. But there was never a second in the first Avengers movie where people went, but wait, no, he's just hurt. No, you gotta stop him at all costs.
He was about to shoot and kill that old man.
Yeah,
in the start of the movie. He's like, look to your elders, fellow people.
Yeah.
Let it be an example. And then, of course, Captain America saves him. But, yeah, like, he's doing bad shit. You feel bad for him. Like, oh, no, that sucks. He was a good guy, and he turned evil. Maybe we can bring him back to the good side, which they kind of do eventually. But, like, in that moment, it's like, no, we need to stop and arrest this guy, or we need to kill him.
Yeah. But, yeah, so that's what we got to say about that. I know we went on tangents, but I feel like we did a pretty good job. I feel like our tangents were always somewhat connected to the main topic.
Perhaps. Just a little. Tell us how we did.
Yeah, you can tell us how we did in the comments. Well, we'll wrap it up there. We're coming up on time here. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. This has been the Dice Tray Jacuzzi, episode 3. like, comment, subscribe. Seriously, it all helps. We're a small podcast, trying not to be a small podcast. We're trying to be a big podcast. And the only way we do that is if the algorithm helps us and if you like what you saw. So if you like what you saw, give us a follow. If you really like what you saw, give us a share. And even if you didn't like it, tell us how much you didn't like it in the comments. Whether you loved it or hate it, just let your opinion be heard.
Come on, we want a bigger jacuzzi. We want a giant jacuzzi, and I need more drinks. We need more booze. We need more jacuzzi. We need more Dungeons and Dragons. Woo!
So yes, if that's all we got today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And we got anything else to say? I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
I don't think so. All right, we out. Let's go.
None of that registered.
Oh, all right, we out. Let's go.